Sometimes when I'm alone in the garden, I find myself involuntarily closing my eyes to better feel the sun on my face. In the springtime, the sun is so considerate and kind, gently warming everything it touches. In these peaceful, warm days, I contemplate what it means to be committed to slow living, and how a simple life can be so rich with purpose and meaning. How can the peaceful rhythm of my home support my nervous system? How can it help my family feel calm and grounded, despite all of the hustles and bustles of modern life? When life becomes overwhelming, I turn to a few slow, simple living practices to help me find my footing again. I bake bread, I knit, I read a favorite book that I have read before, perhaps even many times. Sometimes I pick an area of my home to deep clean, and I focus only on making it truly shine again. As a highly sensitive person, I find that when life moves too quickly, with too many errands and drop-offs and tasks and to-dos, I easily become overwhelmed and out of sorts. My dysregulated nervous system can have a ripple effect. The children easily pick up on my mood, and they will also become dysregulated. Clutter will pile up around the house. Nothing seems to get done, and I feel like I am falling further and further behind. But then, I remember that I have built a life around the idea of a peaceful rhythm that will support me in times of overwhelm. That a slower, simpler life is one that makes me feel truly calm, truly grounded, truly nurtured. That when I am fully resourced, I can nurture my children and my home. That I can radiate my calm and it will touch everyone around me.
By letting go of expectations, I'm lighter and more carefree. I think we all have expectations. Expecting things to happen a particular way, people to behave in a manner, and outcomes to be certain results. But what happens when these expectations are not met? Disappointment, stress, and frustration are just a few of the negative emotions that can arise. Blessed is he who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed. When I expect certain outcomes to happen in the future, I create a gap between reality in the present moment and an imaginary ending. It's this gap that leads to unhappiness, frustration, and disappointment. Because I cannot control how future events will play out or how others will act, by setting an expectation, I'm really just setting myself up for disappointment. As a mother of 3, I have had past expectations of how my kids should behave and the path they should follow. Insisting that they live by my expectations put a wedge between us. No one needs to live their life for anyone but themselves. When I honored my children's choices and trusted that they were carving the right path for themselves, our relationship grew stronger. Simply by removing the word should from my vocabulary, I release the chains of expectation and become free. I'm free to be curious, playful, and adventurous. I can flow easily with the changing current of life, and I don't become upset, frustrated, or disappointed nearly as often. I embrace the present moment more deeply because I'm not anticipating a preset outcome of any kind.
We all have things that we're believing for, dreams that we want to accomplish, problems we're hoping will turn around. Maybe it's to see our family restored, to lose some weight, to break an addiction, to start our own business. But sometimes as it goes on month after month, even year after year, and we don't see anything changing, it's easy to get discouraged and think, it's never gonna happen. This is as good as it gets. I'll just learn to live with it. We all go through disappointments, setbacks, loss. Pain is a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter. Think, why is this happening to me? Sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Eventually, that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. In those tough times, when you're uncomfortable, going through a loss, dealing with an illness, you could easily let it overwhelm you. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner, I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies.
A.D. Williams once said, "Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we loved and respected one another." Just imagine. Imagine if there was no greed. Imagine if there was no comparison. If everyone was running their own race, but cheering for all others at the same time. Maybe we'll never see that in our lifetime. But what we all can do is start with ourselves. Start with yourself. Choose to lift others up. Choose to set the example of kindness and integrity, the example of compassion and understanding. There's a quote that says, "No matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all." Integrity is everything. It really is. Who you are is far more important than what you have, and it will always be. Who you are is measured by how you make others feel. Be kind to each other. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Choose to be the change you wish to see in the world. Decide you will not wait for someone else. You will set the example. Be kind. Because you never know how much that person is suffering inside. You never know the difference your words can make, the difference your presence can make, the difference you can make to one human life. Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of humanity. Be the reason someone else decides to make a difference in others. Be the influence you want to see more of. Always do what is right, not what is easy in the moment. Kindness spreads like a virus. When you do good to another, that person does better to those they come in contact with. You really can make a big difference in the world today and every other day. Anne Frank said, in the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit.
In giving away the control, you got it. You got the kind of control you wanted. That's to say, where you had a loving relationship to the world, but you didn't have to make up your mind what it should do. You let it decide. Now, do you see that's how your bodies work? You don't have to make up your mind what your nerve cells are going to do. You've delegated all that authority. If the President of the United States has to lay awake at nights thinking what every official under his command is going to do, he can't be president. He's got to make an act of trust in all those subordinates to be responsible and carry on their things in just the same way as you make an act of trust to all your subordinate organs to carry on their functions without you having to tell them what to do. And this is the secret of what we will call organic power as distinct from political power.
Every time a man hardens his heart against a fellow being, he inflicts upon himself 5 kinds of suffering, namely, the suffering of loss of love, the suffering of lost communion and fellowship, the suffering of a troubled and confused mind, the suffering of wounded passion or pride, and the suffering of punishment inflicted by others. Every act of unforgiveness entails upon the doer of that act these 5 sufferings, whereas every act of forgiveness brings to the doer 5 kinds of blessedness. The blessedness of love, the blessedness of increased communion and fellowship, the blessedness of a calm and peaceful mind, the blessedness of passion stilled and pride overcome, and the blessedness and kindness and goodwill bestowed by others.
Forgiveness is a full pardon. It's a fresh start. It's another chance. It's a new beginning. It's the lifting of a heavy burden. It's the canceling of a debt. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door of resentment and the handcuffs of hatred. Some of you have those handcuffs on right now. It is a supernatural power that breaks the chains of bitterness and the shackles of rage and resentment. Forgiveness is not optional. Jesus said in Matthew 6:14, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive men their trespasses, God will not forgive you of your trespasses."
Priorities. Priorities. Have you set priorities in your life? Here's another way to say it. Have you asked God to set priorities in your life? What are your priorities And what are you doing about your schedule when it comes to your priorities? You have to schedule your priorities or they don't happen. And time is like money in one way and not like money in another way. Let me tell you how it's like money. It has to be budgeted. Time must be budgeted. Now let me tell you how it's not like money. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. You have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Have you set your priorities? Have you scheduled your priorities? Are you following that schedule? Do you know what God's call is on your life? And do you know how much time it takes every week to fulfill that call? And are you making that happen?
We need pay more attention about our inner peace. Inner peace will not come through prayer, but the destroyer of inner peace is within ourselves. We should know what kind of emotion bring inner peace, what kind of emotion destroy our inner peace. Then tackle these different emotions. So for that reason, India, only this country, I think 1,000 years is a knowledge, quite full of sort of knowledge about human emotion, human mind. Then you see the method tackle these emotions. I always describe ancient Indian knowledge is not only ancient knowledge, but very relevant to today's world. All these sort of, as I mentioned before, these sort of man-made problem is because of too much destructive emotion. They do not know how to tackle, how to bring inner peace. So therefore, irrespective of whether believer or non-believer, believe this religion or that religion, the knowledge about the psychology, knowledge about the logic, we should consider academic subject, not religious subject. So now, I fully committed in order to the revival of these ancient Indian knowledge, mainly psychology and logic, these things, into modern India.